everybody, it's Michelle LaVore and
Devin LaVore coming at you.
And we're so glad to be here.
Tired.
Yeah, tired. We are on a crazy roller coaster ride, and we will get more into that.
Wired and tired and excited.
Yes. With the Lord, and it's just...
Enduring. Interrupting.
It's funny, yeah. I was telling Devin, like, when we're getting ready to do this video, because it's just like, okay, we really want to just get this done tonight. But I was telling him, I'm like, I feel like if you've ever seen, there are some times where people are on a roller coaster and they're filming themselves on the roller coaster, and they're trying to talk while they're riding, and they're just like, this is amazing, look at this, and it's just like all this like kind of going. I feel like that in the sense of God is just, he is on the move, and I feel like even these videos, I'm like, I know we're sitting here, we're not on a literal roller coaster, but it just it does.
We're not technically on the road right now.
Yeah, so. But it just feels like that. It just like, all right, let's go. Let's go ahead and do the video tonight, and just keep moving with the Lord, and so it feels like that. It feels like we're just in the midst of the roller coaster, just going, hey, this is what's going on.
Yeah, pretty much. So that's what this video is going to be.
But we do want to give a huge thank you before we begin anything to everyone who continues to support what God is doing in our life, and what he has been doing for the last 5 years during this course of our life, really 5.5. Yeah. We're in the 6th year. And so a huge thank you to all of you who continue to give. And we are support-based, so if you would like to give to us, you can. We have a PayPal link and a Cash App below, and you can click either of those. Yeah. So today we are going to be covering Act 3, Scene 12 of the Restoration play. And it has been just
a wild ride.
Yes, and it's continuing. So, as many of you know, we last left you off with, we went to Kansas City, and we did that road trip, and that was kind of what our last video was about. And we came back on Sunday. And that
was only a week ago.
Yeah, it was only a week ago, literally. And I know last week we ended up doing our video on, I think it was Monday night, which is totally fine. The Lord, he knows how to time things well, and he knows when you do need rest, and he knows, like, hey, no, go ahead and just go forward. He can give you that little push and boost that you need. Yeah. And but we came back, and the Lord's like, oh, don't get settled in. You want to talk about that? Because I think you got that revelation.
Because I think that's what was happening. We were just like, well, the Lord really blessed us, and financially, to be honest. And like we said, it wasn't some sort of promise keeping amount, you know what I'm saying, or anything like that. But it was really awesome, and I was just like, this is amazing. It allowed us to. It was funny because it's the thing that had us go on the road trip to begin with, and it was just so amazing. I'm not trying to belittle it at all. I'm just saying you can't buy a house or a car with it, but we can rent a car with it, and that's what we did. We rented a vehicle, and we've been renting this vehicle now. And it's been really, really cool. Just so cool, because when we came back, it was just a sense of like, okay, that was a nice little adventure. Yeah, fun. It's like, all right. And there was just a sense of like, we're settling back into just, life here in the hotel room, right? And it was just right away, the Lord was like, you are not waiting. The bench has been destroyed. I told you. Little Medea spice in there. No, but he was like, I told you, there is no bench to go back to. When you're coming back, you're not coming back to the place you think you're coming back to. And I'm just like, oh, okay. And there's like just a sense of like, don't settle in. And I even said then, I was like, I feel like we're getting ready to go somewhere else. I had no idea at the time, did I? I had no idea. I was just like, I feel like we're getting ready to go somewhere else. I don't know where it is, but we'll see what's going to happen here. But it was almost like, nah, this is just a layover. This is just a little rest time, and then you're going to get going again. I'm like, oh, so where are we going? You know?
Yeah, and it was just kind of that sense of kind of catch your breath, you know. And it kind of very much like a roller coaster. A lot of times there's just these moments where at least you can kind of catch your breath. You're just like, oh, okay. And then it just keeps going. And so, yeah, when we came back, it was just like, okay. And we talked about this in our last video because I know we made it on Monday, and so Sunday night already happened.
There was some overlapping trailer of the next video type stuff.
Yeah, and so we had talked about our son and just how the Lord ministered to him. But I really feel like it just continued to carry over, and that was the heart of forgiveness. And starting fresh and like saying like, this is what God is speaking over you. And really it has gone through this entire week. And I really feel like it started off with June 24th with Roe versus Wade being turned over. And literally God had me read a prophetic word that he had given me in November, and it was about like, to the nation. It's him saying your sins are forgiven, and just basically God renewing his covenant with this nation, and then just continuing to go on about, this is what I'm offering you, this is what I want to give you, this is my heart for this nation. Receive it and say yes to what I am wanting for this nation. And so I just feel like the theme, it just carried through this whole week, of just like, I am speaking forgiveness of sins, like all the past, leave it behind, be set free, come with me, renew the covenant that I have with you. I want to create a new covenant with you. Will you say yes to what I want to bring you into? And it started off with our son on Sunday. And then literally on Wednesday night, our daughter, she was just like, I need to go spend time, with the Lord. And even she had this encounter with the Lord where he was just like, I'm forgiving you. Like, let's start this. Like,
I'm not holding anything against you.
I'm not holding
You're
anything.
holding stuff against yourself.
Yeah. And just again, God saying like, I am forgiving you. That is what my blood has done. It's wiped away every sin. It brings you into this place of newness of life. And that is what I have for you. And it was just like, wow, this is amazing. And then for me, and honestly, she had that on Wednesday night, and then she ended up sharing it actually for our God time on Thursday. And it was just like, this is amazing, because Thursday morning, like the Lord was speaking that over me. He was just like, I am forgiving you. I am like, I'm wiping away all of everything from the past, even generational things. God was not just speaking to like, anything that I, from the past that is like, oh, okay, that bothers me, or that's like shame or guilt or anything like that. It was like, I'm removing that from you. But it was also just generational, just sins or things that were put upon me. And God was like, I am wiping all of that away. And it's just... And
that was Thursday morning?
That was Thursday morning.
Okay, yeah.
And it was just like, wow, Lord, this is just... You are definitely moving and doing some amazing things.
Yeah.
Which is so funny, because for me on Thursday, I was having a rough morning anyway. And to have
Super
the Lord just be like... Here, this is what I'm saying to you. And honestly, like, I've had to go back and reread because the Lord actually really spoke to Devin. There was an encounter he had with the Lord where he was just like, here, this is what I have for Michelle, and then he spoke it to me, but I had to go back and still I'm just like, okay, Lord, help me to absorb like what you were saying, because it was just hard for me to receive what the Lord was saying on that particular morning, because it was just like, I'm just having a hard time here, Lord. And then it was just like, but it was still really awesome just to hear him say like, hey, you're forgiven, and I want to have I'm making a new covenant with you, and I want you to say yes to me, yes to my heart.
Well, and it was really cool because the Lord, a lot of times, he uses symbology to really, you can see it all throughout Scripture from the beginning. He uses these symbols, and the Lord had me go out and actually buy a ring, an engagement ring. And he was like, let's start new. He had me get down on my knee and everything. And I was like, Michelle, I'm serious. This is not me, it's the Lord. Just don't even look at me. I know it's a lot of loveliness to look at, a lot of beauty to behold.
Yes.
Ooh, after I lose about 50 pounds. But anyway,
just more to behold right
had to
now.
throw that in there, didn't I? More to behold. Great.
More to love.
Way to kick him when he's down.
No, I'm just saying,
kidding.
there's more to love.
That's not a compliment. But anyway. Oh, that was good. It was fun. Anyway. So yeah, I was like down on one knee, and I'm just like, I opening up this thing, and I knew I felt like Samuel. Because I was having this encounter with the Lord, and I knew I had a dentist appointment that morning, right? And so it was at 11, and I was like, oh my gosh, everyone's so wiped out, no one's getting up. So I was like, well, we're gonna have to have God time after I get back from the dentist, and that's what ended up happening, right? But I'm telling you what, the Lord is like, he stopped me at the encounter, and he was just like, we're not going to do anything else until this happens. And I was just like, wow. And I felt like Samuel, where he's just like, we're not going to sit down and eat and have, food, folks, and fun until I anoint this next dude that's supposed to, where is he? You have to have another. The Lord didn't send me all this way that's what it felt like, And then once David was anointed, and it was like, okay, here we go. I was just like, I had to go and get that ring. And then I was like, Lord, how is this going to work? Like, there was so many factors and so much stuff going on. I was like, whatever. If you're saying to do it, I'm going to do it. And so I went and I bought this ring, and the lady there was like so amazing.
Yeah.
Right?
She was super
She was
cool.
like the best.
I met her later.
Yeah, I mean, she said something to me that even if I repeat it now, I may have a hard time repeating it, but I was having such a difficult time that morning myself, and it might have been that part of, there's sometimes that part of the roller coaster, where it starts to get a little turbulent as it's going this way and that way. That's kind of like what that morning was for us, because it's like we've been on this. That's kind of like where we wanted to go with the video. Actually, was to say like we are literally on that roller coaster. From the moment we got the check from the person that gave us a check, it was just like that was that point where the roller coaster is dipping down and it hasn't even quite taken off yet. You know what I'm saying? But as soon as we're like, okay, we're off to Kansas City, and it was just like, whoa, this is amazing. And so that morning I was just kind of just like shaking a little bit, I mean, my emotions were so compromised, but I was just just being me, and this lady was just, it was amazing. It was like the Lord just anointed her to be there for me in that moment. It was as if she knew everything I was thinking, and everything I needed, and everything. I was going to go upstairs, all the way upstairs, and then have to go all the way down to the food court because I was really thirsty and I forgot to bring water, and just something simple like that. And she was like, hey, do you need some water? How about some water? And I was like, who are you? Are you an angel assigned to work at this jewelry store? Is that what it is? And she kept calling me sir. And I was like, yes, I would love that. And I drank the water. I was like, this is amazing. Like, the favor of the Lord, the 555 of the Lord is really actually happening. You know, it's really cool to see it happening after going through 5 years of 444s and exposure and just, you know what I mean? Just to see it happening. And it was a really cool experience. But in the middle of all of it, she's trying to get me some water. And she's like, she said this thing about like, I said something about like, well, yeah, I meant to do this, but you know, I don't have it or something like that. And she said something to the effect of like, just because you don't have it doesn't mean you're not worth it, and you're worth it. And I about lost it. I mean, I about lost it right there. And she asked me a question. She was like, okay, so what's this? And something about my identification. And I couldn't even answer. I was like, if I just speak to this lady a word, I'm going to start Niagara Falls. You know? And it was just like, she was like, oh, never mind. It's right here. There it is. Never mind. And she kept going. I was just like, wow. Even that was the favor of the Lord, because I don't want to start bawling in front of this lady. I didn't want to, and then I have to explain myself, and I can't, you know, sometimes there's so much going on in there that you don't even know. You can't even explain yourself. And now you have to explain yourself to this stranger who you're bawling like a baby in front of, and because of the goodness of God. You know what I mean? And it's just like, and just all the cool things that are happening. And so it was just a super cool experience to have that, and then just to come back, you know. And I went, got my dental work done, you know. I fell asleep on the dentist like 4 times. And she just tapped my mouth, Dev, like, oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Just super tired. She's like, don't worry, you're not the first. You won't be the last. And I'm like, sorry. It's just been, this is like the worst position to be in if you're tired. You know what I mean? Absolute worst. And, and then so we came back and we had our God time, and it was just like, I'm literally on my knee, and I was proposing to my wife, and it was the Lord said, he was like, let us be born again. Let's go back to relationship. Let's go back to where it's about me and you and what I've done for you and my heart for you and my pursuit of you, my love for you, my grace to you, me for you, not all just you and being good performance girl. You know? And that's actually for me personally. I'm continuing to pray. I was actually praying even today in the car, just like, Lord, like, I don't know, to just really touch my heart in a way that makes it come alive again. Because it's just like, I think over the years, it's like, you know, it's like, you know, things, but then it can just, I don't know, it's like you don't necessarily feel what you know. And it's like, I'm like, Lord, I want to feel again. I want to like feel the connection with you. It's an easy place to teach from, because you're just disseminating information. And it sounds good to everybody. You can lead a church. But it's like your relationship with the Lord is just, it's got some major leprous issues. And no one can see that, because all the teaching and anointing and the great, it's so good. You know?
And so it's just like, Lord, I want to like feel the love for you, you know, like that rebirth, that renewing, that I mean, it's like, I love the Lord, but I don't know, it's just, it's hard to express it, but it's just like, I want that fire ignited. I want just that tenderness towards the
vitality. You want to live again. You want to be in love.
Exactly. Like, you know, Song of Solomon. I want my heart to like be in that position, not just read about it. And
you want to come out of the wilderness leaning.
Exactly. On my beloved.
Little Joe Jr.
But I just want to, like, you know, and it was crazy too, because the Lord, you know, he was speaking to me about the flowers, and that's something that I've been continuing to pray about, and specifically roses. And
you are the rose.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like God, he just keeps revealing more and more, and so this is just a process that we're going through, right, with me. But the Lord was just like throughout this week has just been like, okay, hey, you're the rose, and it's come through many different things. But then on Thursday, so Thursday morning, Devin comes back and he has roses, which are actually back there, and there's 2 bouquets. And for me, this is where my heart was, right? So he comes in with the roses, and I'm just like, oh yay, roses! Like, what is this thing? I'm actually really frustrated because
you're really frustrated because you're like, yes, I know you probably got me roses. I knew that's what you were doing. So.
Yeah. Well, and I was already stressed. It was kind of a stressful morning.
Dealing with the kids.
Yeah,
and
just
stuff.
different things happening.
And I was like,
and then it was
this may not go very well.
Yeah. And it was just like, great, you brought me roses. I don't even know what it means. I don't even know what the Lord is saying. And
you're throwing that in my face.
Yeah, and I can get, for me personally, I can get really frustrated sometimes when I just don't understand. I want to understand.
Well, when you're getting prophetic numbers or prophetic signs or stuff like that,
I just don't
you're just
understand.
not getting it.
And it's like,
why don't you just say something?
Yeah, just tell me, please. Speak it plainly. I don't want the riddles. I don't want
I don't speak mystery.
Yeah.
Just give it to me straight.
So it can be just really frustrating for me. And so he came back with roses, and I was just like, this is making me upset. Like, I just want to know what it means. I don't even know. I don't really even like flowers like that. Why is the Lord giving me stuff I don't even really like? And yet he's like, this is who you are. And I'm just like, this is like, I don't get it. I don't understand, And so that's kind of like where my heart was. And I really was just funny. Like in this place. And then Devin had put the ring, actually, I didn't know it was actually in a Whole Foods bag, and he did that, of course, so that I wouldn't know anything, and he just had it up on the refrigerator. And
you're gonna tell that part?
Yes, I am just sitting here thinking, because for maybe those who don't know, I don't eat sugar. Like, I haven't since January
24th.
Yeah, 2014.
Since basically the end of 2013.
Yeah.
You haven't eaten anything since any sugar, like
since 2014.
Cake, cookie, ice cream, anything like that.
Fruits, that's different, but it's personal for me because I know how it affects me. It causes a lot of depression and stuff, and so it's just like I'm done with this, and so it's just been something that I don't eat, and
wow, that's like 8.5 years.
Yeah. And that's so
a long time. I had to count it with my fingers.
And so, but in my mind, because of just where I'm like, the Lord is just probably going to make me, because Devin knew. I knew that he had something for me. I didn't know what it was, but I just kind of knew with the morning. I was like, okay, the Lord has something for me this morning. But, I was definitely in a place of just like, having a hard time receiving. I was already upset with the flowers, and I'm sitting here thinking, please, Lord, don't make me eat something sweet. I'm thinking like Heidi Baker, and she has the 2 cookie experience where the Lord's I want to just
2 cookies.
Like, no,
that's too much, Lord.
Yeah.
No.
And so I'm just thinking here, like, great, the Lord's gonna have me eat something sweet. I really don't want it. I would do it. Seriously, if the Lord was like, this is, you need to eat, like, I would totally do it. But
you would.
I was just like, please don't. Like, I don't know what you have for me, but I don't want that. And so when we finally get to the part where Devin's like, get ready to get the rings, he was like, all right, this is, what did you say again?
I was like, this is where it gets interesting. I don't know. We'll see what happens or something like that. I was like, all right, here. And I grabbed the bag, and I was like, you're going to eat a cinnamon roll. And
I am not kidding you. I about bursted into tears. I was like, no. And the kids, because they know I don't eat the sugar, they're like, really?
What?
She's gonna eat a cinnamon roll?
But almost immediately I was like, no,
But I'm still trying to recover.
Yeah.
Because I'm just like, I am like going to cry here.
You're like, that's not even funny.
Yeah. Because he had no idea like what I was thinking and processing through.
I didn't. I just knew you were having a rough morning. I was like, ooh, this is a rough one. This is a rough one. What a morning to have you, Lord. Why do you always pick these mornings to do this stuff?
It's a
perfect morning to do it, I guess.
But then it comes out and he has the box, and I was just like, oh, okay. And then
It's a tiny cinnamon roll. No,
But then I knew it was like, oh wow, this is a ring. And so then through all of that is just trying to listen to what the Lord was saying. But it was just like, well, yes, Lord, I'm saying yes to you. And it was just like, we're going to renew the covenant. And
well, the Lord asked you to marry him.
Yeah.
He said, will you marry me?
Yeah. And I was like, yes, I will. And I personally, I know it's very personal to me, but I also really believe like God is saying like this is a prophetic picture of what he's doing with the church. Yeah. And because like God can, there are prophets where God uses their life as a picture.
Maybe I might want to read it. What do you think?
Yeah.
Read certain parts of it, the renewing and the covenant.
Oh, sure.
Where is that? Is that in God Time Notes?
Yeah.
Okay, keep going.
But sometimes it's like God uses pictures in a person's life to decree what he's doing. Mm-hmm. And, for us, we have always had, like, God brings certain things into our life, and he's like, this is a picture of what I'm doing right now, but at the same time, I believe like God's speaking like in the sense to the church as a whole, where he is like, there is forgiveness for his body, and there is a renewing of the covenant. There's forgiveness for this land and a renewing of the covenant that he has with the United States. And he's like, this is what I'm proposing. This is what I'm speaking and declaring. I'm speaking life. I'm speaking newness. And will you say yes to what I have for you? And it's like, and so in that sense, it's like, okay, you say yes, you're engaged. And that word engaged just really stood out to me, particularly this weekend, of just like, you're engaged, meaning like God wants the body of Christ to engage with the newness that he has. And there is joy and there is celebration when there is an engagement. And there is just like life and the promise of the fullness of the covenant yet to come. The fullness of the, what God is going to bring. And so I just believe that in the body of Christ, he's saying, I am forgiving sins. I am setting people free. Now, will you come and will you say yes to me, yes to my ways, yes to my plans, yes to who I am, who I've made you to be? Will you enter into a covenant with me, a newness of relationship? And this is a new covenant. Like God's like, I want to begin something new and fresh and pour out my spirit fresh. And it's like, come and enter into this time of joy and celebration with me. And so it's like, I feel like what God has done for me is like, yes, Lord, I want to do that. And I think there is still just this discovery, even once, if you're dating, it's like, the different levels of just intimacy or just moving into deeper levels of commitment with one another, right? You're dating, but then once you get engaged, it's like, I have committed myself to this person. But in that process, one, you're planning the wedding, but two, you're still continuing to grow deeper together as you move towards this day that will
and that
seal everything.
That commitment's opened up more of your heart to each other.
Yeah.
It's opened up more of the relationship for it to be even better.
Yeah. And I think there is that sense of security. There's that sense of just, I don't know, like there is also a declaration, when someone, you could be dating or, with somebody, but once you're engaged, it's like there's the ring on the finger that's making a declaration to everyone, like, hey, I belong to someone. And my heart is committed to them. And I just believe that God is saying, I am making a declaration. I want to put a ring on the finger and say, you are mine and I am yours. And it's going to be seen. And just like one of the other things, I think it's amazing personally with what the Lord's doing. It was unexpected for me.
You had no idea that was coming.
I really had no idea.
Listen, when I woke up that morning, I had no idea it was coming. No joke.
Yeah.
This came out of nowhere, and I was just like, there's so much to be said about that morning.
Yeah.
That we could just go off. We could have a whole video just on what we're talking about.
Yeah.
And
and so it was just like, so there's this picture. God has been using this whole time the picture of marriage for us.
And babies.
Yeah, and babies, and pregnancy processes, and so I'm just like, wow, we are in. It's funny because it's like we're in this time of the pregnancy process and what we call like the body part, because we have the spirit, the soul, and the body, and there's just been this pattern with the Lord over those things, and
so there's a pregnancy process for each one.
And so this year,
you could have told us that 3 years ago.
Yeah, I know the Lord doesn't always reveal things
and
until
he's like, no, I could not have.
No, because you wouldn't. It would have been different.
It would have broke you. It would have shattered you.
It's like, what? How long? And so God's like, He reveals when things need to be revealed, and so I just find it really interesting because this year, January 2nd, God said this is day one of manifestation. It's also basically like, He was like, this pregnancy process has begun for the body. And
like for physical things to start happening. Like seeing the favor and the manifestation of God, not just hearing about it prophetically and holding fast and believing with faith and running and not seeing nothing.
Yeah. It's like, no, things are going to change.
The battery.
Yes. And so throughout this year,
the battery has changed.
Yeah, the battery has changed. But so it's like this year in particular, it's like, okay, this is manifestation. Things are changing. You're going to start seeing things happen in the natural. And we've had just throughout since January, small things that it's like, whoa, look at this is happening, and that's never happened before, and we're seeing these things, and it increasing. Yeah, it's
just
increasing throughout it. And I was reminded of how, like with Elizabeth, when she became pregnant, it was hidden for basically 5 months. It was like she was kept hidden. Yeah. And but then, there comes a point where it's like, this is no longer hidden. And I feel like even for us, like with where we're at now, it's almost like, whoa, like we're seeing things. There is a showing happening, meaning like there is a going and a doing. And even with the Lord, bringing in this ring, it's like, whoa, this is a showing. It's a, hey, you are mine. We've been, is in a sense, it's like, okay, well, we've been dating since January, but now, okay, I'm showing that you're going to be mine. Like, this is going to happen. There is going to be a wedding. There is going to be a celebration. And so it's like, wow, this is really happening. And so with even this roller coaster, we were talking about the other night how I'm like, I kind of feel like it really is that, you know, once you've reached like 5.5, 6 months, you're just showing, and it just keeps, you just keep growing.
Yeah, you just keep getting bigger.
You just keep getting bigger and bigger. And so I feel like the Lord's just like, I'm just adding and adding and adding. It also reminds us of the vision that we had where, well, you had it, the whirlwind vision.
Oh, yeah.
Where God was just packing on.
Okay, stop there. That's the deal. Man, I tell you what, normally, because we live in the wilderness and we play tumbleweed ball, and that's about the most fun we have. You know, we have all the time in the world to like take in these prophetic numbers and signs and marinate on them and sit in them and all that. Man, I tell you what, we entered into a time of harvest. You know, and I think even, I don't know, I think K. Nash prophesied it at the same time it started happening to us.
Yeah.
You know, we entered into this time of harvest, and we have been getting so many prophetic numbers, prophetic signs, prophetic words, and it's like the Lord won't even allow us to look it up too much, or me anyway. And I'm just like, Lord, why are we getting all this stuff, and we're really not, even you, we're not able to do it like we, and he's like, because that's what you do during harvest. I mean, it just kind of came to me this week. Mm-hmm. Like, that's what you do during harvest, man. You keep gathering. You're faithful to gather, you know, write down, record everything like the Lord told us to do. He's like, record everything. We've been recording everything, literally. And he's like, but you got to gather it into the barn. You got to gather. Then you go to a different phase of sifting through it and dealing with it and all. But you got to gather it first. That is the most important thing. That's kind of where we're at. And I almost feel like this gathering and this harvesting is the same as the roller coaster, which is the same as us kind of going around the Lord, creating this vortex around the Lord and all that. Because when he reached out his hand and touched us, it was like we were getting ready to launch, but then we stopped for a second and he gave us some instruction, and we were like so packed with stuff, and it was like he just like launched us like an arrow, and we were going to a city. And I'm like, whoa, this is so super cool.
And so
that was back in 2017.
Yeah, so it definitely feels like, I mean, we're definitely in a harvest time, and it's funny because it's a harvest time, but it is also a seed planting time. It's just like, you know, it's the whole Amos 9, what is it, 13? 11 through 13
13 through 15.
Here we go, 13 through 15, where it's like you're harvesting, but there is also a planting going on. And I really have been feeling like, wow, we are planting, but we are also gathering with what God has been doing. And so it's just like, wow, Lord, this is crazy. Like, it's been amazing, but there's just so much. And
it really has been like that. It's been so intense.
Yeah. And so
one thing fast on the heels of another, you know?
Yeah. And so one of the things that happened this week as well was really interesting, and because
totally unexpected.
It was
much
unexpected.
Like a roller coaster.
Much like a roller
coaster. You're going, whoa, ah.
Yeah.
You know, because you don't know what's coming.
So it was interesting because we got back and from Kansas City, and I think it was either that, literally the Sunday night, or I think it might have even been on Monday. It was highlighted to me of just this, like, I saw Flashpoint live in Atlanta, Georgia, and I was just like, whoa, okay, this is kind of highlighting to me.
That's one of our posts. I think one of our post cities.
I think we should go, but I was just like, I don't know, this could just be me. I'm someone who really likes to do a lot of things, and God has really trained me in the wilderness time of just like learning how to not let desire go before him, you know, and it was really difficult sometimes to be like, I really just want to do this thing, and then God having to come in and be like, no, we're not doing that right now. Like, you just have to kind of die to that desire, because it was a time for that. And so I'm very sensitive to that now. And it was just like, I don't know, this could just be me, because sometimes when you have something exciting happen, you just want it to keep going.
Yeah, you want to do more of the same thing.
And it's like, no, you have to be able to just let things kind of settle. And so that's kind of what I was doing. I was just like, well, I'll just let it go and just see if it keeps bubbling up, And then I finally, like, I think it was, might have been Monday night, or
it was Monday night.
Yeah, Monday night. I was just kind of like, all right, let me just bring Devin in on it, because I just kind of want to hear what he thinks, or
I was like, no.
He's like, no.
It's crazy.
No.
Some Flashpoint stuff, and I mean, it's cool. I like Dutch Sheets and Hank Kunneman and all those guys, but our kids sitting there watching that stuff for 4 hours, no, it's not gonna happen.
Yeah. And It's just like, no, I don't think so. It's probably just, you just want to keep doing something.
Or is this where I come in?
Yeah. Well, and so it was just like, okay, well, fine. We just, that's fine. We won't do it, And then you can come in now, chime in Wednesday.
So then, was that Wednesday?
Yeah, Wednesday.
During worship at night? Yeah, it just kind of hit me. I was just like, whoa. Now here, I'm going to maybe step on some religious toes, because I know my religious toes were stepped on. But for some of you who've been following us for a while, the Lord, He speaks to us through all kinds of different ways, right? And I had this amazing encounter with the Lord that morning, right? And the encounter, a lot of times my encounters with the Lord are like they are in the Bible, where it says, and the Lord finished speaking with so-and-so, and He went up. You know what I mean? That's kind of like what it's like for me, where it's just like the Lord's just like, all right, I'm done. And then He gets to this point where He's like, okay, I'm done. And then it's almost like He plays a song in my head, and it was the Love Shack by the B-52s. And I'm just going, okay. Like, Lord, I'm almost too tired to go through the process of trying to figure out if this is You or not. I just think it is really You. And it just continued to be Him. And I was just like, okay, like, man, we are going to the Love Shack. Okay. We're just going to be like, because every part of that song is kosher. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I'm just like, okay, but what's the spirit of God saying through that? It's just like He's trying to rekindle love in the secret place. Let's get back to love. And one of the lines, I don't know, I was just doing something, and one of the lines was, I'm heading down the Atlanta highway, and it just hit me like a meteor, left a crater in my heart, and I was like, I just knew right then, I was like, we have to go to Atlanta. I don't want to do this. I think it could be a logistical nightmare, but who cares? I really feel like we're supposed to go. And then that's it. Yeah. I was just like, all right, Sweetie Pea, I think we need to go to Atlanta.
Well, and it was...
And you were like, what?
Yeah.
This is crazy.
This is awesome.
Yeah.
Well, and it was funny because we started talking about it, but even then it was just like, okay, well, let's just go to Atlanta, we'll just find a place, we'll just be in the area. Yeah. And it was just like, no, I think we're supposed to like actually go to the event. And it was just like, I don't know about
like, but
this.
Isn't it enough for us to just be in the area and be praying? And I just, nope.
And so we finally were just like, well, you know what? This is what we'll do. We'll just go, because we knew it would be like for 3 hours. And it was just like, okay, well, we'll go. And if everybody's getting tired or whatever, we'll just go back to the hotel. It's not a big deal.
Okay, so let's pause there, okay? Here's what's really cool. Not only are we able to rent this car for a week, on a weekly basis, which is really actually pretty affordable. It's a really great service. It's new.
It's brand
to the
new,
rental car company. It's not like Enterprise or anything. Those things are insane to rent.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like you might as well buy a house.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like crazy. But this is a new company, and so super cool. And so here's a lesson on why you should obey the Lord even if you don't understand it, even if it happens over and over and over again. Well, as we've been staying here, we've been here almost 2 years, and we've been developing like reward points, right? And so I'm just like, Lord, we don't have that much cash this week. Why don't we just use some of our points to pay for this week? And he was like, nah, man, don't do that. Don't get into that. That's going to be kind of a mess, right? And I'm just like, but Lord. You ever have that moment?
Yeah.
But Lord. And so I was just like, that's happened to me probably like 6 or 7 times being here. I'm just like, we don't have that much money. Why don't we just use our points and then we could be here for free? Like, no, don't do that. Don't do that. And so over a period of time, we've accumulated all these points. And literally every single place we've stayed on our road trips have been with points.
Yep.
We have not paid a dime to stay at any of these places. And it's almost like the Lord's like, you see?
Yeah.
You see? I store stuff up for a reason so that it can be released at the right time.
Yeah.
We literally have paid nothing. I mean, we're paying for gas and we're paying for food.
Yeah.
Which is pretty much what we would pay here. It'd probably be less on the gas part, but food, about the same. You know what I'm saying? And so it's like, as far as like budget goes, it's not like greatly increased.
Yeah.
It's like, it's just really super awesome. It's like we're able to get all these little rooms, and not only that, we have to get like 2 rooms.
Yeah.
Because you can't get a room like this everywhere you go.
No.
And it's just like, okay, reward points here, reward points there, and it's just like, oh, dude, this is amazing.
Yeah.
So that's just another like, wow, the favor of the Lord ahead of time. He invested in that ahead of time.
Yeah.
So.
And so basically, we ended up Wednesday night. We were like, okay, this is where the Lord wants us to be. And so we made the plans. And so then Thursday was just, Thursday was kind of just a crazy day as far as just getting ready, but then also everything that the Lord did on the morning of just speaking. Again, the renewal and
let's get married again.
And the covenant and all of that. So then
me and you were going to do that.
Yep.
Part of our restoration play.
Yep. Little
getting married
renewal.
Again. Little renewal service.
And
14 years. Deliverance and release.
Yes.
It's going to be a deliverance, and we're going to be celebrating deliverance and release because we're getting delivered and released right now. So keep going. And
so basically though, we left actually Friday morning, and again, it was a rough day. There's so much traffic. Oh my goodness! Basically
because it's 4th of July.
A 4-hour trip turned into 7.
7 hours
because of all the traffic, and so and we were kind of running late. It started at 7. We didn't even get there till it was basically like 7:40. But again, the Lord was just like, "Don't worry, you're not going to miss it."
It was a rough trip, body, soul, and spirit. It was just stressful.
It was stressful, because
the Lord was like, "You got to expect this, and not every trip's going to be just the same, It's going to be different. You just got to go with the flow, and it's just like,
And so we got there, and so we were be a part of it, and actually the kids did amazing. And they
actually loved it.
They thought it was so amazing just to like be there in person, because we've watched similar thing. I think we've even watched parts of Flashpoint.
Well, we watched the Flashpoint last year when it was here in Nashville. We didn't go to it.
No.
But we watched it while we were here.
Yeah. And so they were just like, this is awesome.
That's a lie. He was like, I got to actually see healings and miracles right there.
Yeah.
And he was like, nah, not on a video.
Yeah.
And he was like, it was amazing.
It was amazing.
They didn't complain once.
No, not at all. Like, they were very
let's discuss. That's a manifestation of the favor of the Lord. All of you who have kids, say amen.
Amen. No, but it also just really shows, like, when it comes to when God's like, I want to do these things, to allow him to do it. Forget about all of the issues you think are going to come up and the problems, and this might not work and that might not work.
Well, and 70% of them didn't even exist.
Yeah. It's
it
like
didn't even happen.
You think of all these things, and then it's like, oh, that wasn't an issue, and that wasn't an issue, and it ended up being just really good. And I think, again, I just thought it was really cool because I feel like God is just continuing to sow into our hearts just like the call he has for us on this nation. Like, that's a piece of what God has for us. He's like, I've called you to this nation. I've called you to the United States to be a part of what I'm doing here. And so to just continue to be a part of that. And God is strategic in where he takes you. And we were talking about it because in some ways we were there, and God he was speaking, but it was just like, Lord, what are we supposed to glean from this, or what are we getting? And we've just been kind of processing and talking about it since Friday night, and it was just like, well, sometimes I just want you to just see. I want you to witness. And we've been talking about the parade that the Lord.
Remember, we're going to the parade. We're watching a parade. You don't get involved in it.
Yeah.
You just watch it.
You're watching it. You're seeing what I am doing, and you're seeing how I am transforming. And even there, they were speaking about the forgiveness and like a newness of covenant.
Yeah.
And so it was just
healing.
Yeah.
Stuff. Well, it's like with the nation of Israel coming out of Egypt. The Lord's like, you don't need to be getting involved. Just watch the parade.
Yeah.
Watch me parade myself through this heathen nation and destroy it. All of its idols.
Yeah.
And then at the end, you get all their stuff.
Yeah. Well, and that was interesting because one of the things, we saw, even as we were planning to go, we were seeing the 666. And it's about the Lord rendering recompense to his enemies.
We're still seeing it today.
Yeah. And I just really felt like God's like, I am rendering recompense to the enemy, and I want you to witness it.
Isaiah
I want you to
6.
Yeah,
Did you say that already?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
But that's the reference. And it's like, I want you to see what I am doing. And even while we were there and we were watching it, it was just like, wow, God, you are like raising up a shout and a declaration and a cry in people's hearts, not just for patriotism, but for you. And it's like, and actually even that night they said there was about 162 people that came to the Lord that night, and it was just like, this is what God's talking about. He's like, there is a great harvest. There is a changing of the lives of people to come to me.
Dutch Sheets was like, what makes the devil mad about this meeting is that it's not a political meeting. What I mean? He was like, he would have loved it if it was just about politics and pro-Trump and anti-this and anti-Trump and pro-this and all that. The enemy's like, oh, well, that's good. There's no power in that.
No.
There's no power in that. You can be all pro-this and anti-this, but there's no power in it. If there is any power in it, it's demonic power. And it's just like, he's just like, oh, I'm cool with that. But when it is about, like, hey, who are you for? Are you for us? Or are you for them? And your heart's like, I'm for the Lord.
Yeah.
I'm for his heart and his heart for the nation. Can I share a little bit?
Yeah.
I want to touch on this a little bit because it's like, that's what the angel told Joshua, right? And I think it was just the Lord, but it could have been the angel or whatever. But the bottom line is, there was a time there when I was really heavy into the political realm, and the Lord got me into it on purpose. That was his plan. He's like, I want you to get into this. I want you to feel this. I don't want you to be isolated from this realm. Even if you're not called to it, I don't want you to be separated from it. He's like, that's a kind of a blight on the church history, And so there was a time there where there were certain political figures that I really, really hated. I really despised them because they are liars and deceivers. And, you know, I'm just saying, they're just the devil working through them. But the Lord, he spoke to me one day, and he was like, Dev, I don't want you to hate this person. And he mentioned the name. And he's like, you know what? I don't want you to hate this person either. And he's like, I don't hate them. And I tell you what, man, that encounter changed my life forever, politically, you know, and it was just like, because you know how it is, you know, voting for one person or another person is almost like being, you know, an Oakland Raiders fan or a New England Patriots fan. You know what I mean? It's the same heart given to this, and it's just like you're missing the heart of God in all of it. You know, and God's like, I don't want them. I want them to be saved. I want them. I created them. I created them for purpose. Just because they're not walking in it and all that stuff. Even Jezebel, she was created for a reason and a purpose. And you know what I mean? She wasn't created to be the Jezebel figure that we all know her to be. Yeah. You know, that wasn't her plan. That wasn't God's plan for her life. But you know, God has a plan, but we have to cooperate with it in order for it to be seen, for it to come to pass. And from that time forward, man, the Lord was like, I never hated another political figure ever. That, because I realized, man, you know what, I think when it comes to politics, I think there has to be a spice of hatred in there, even if it's a patriotism. There has to be a spice of hatred. Now, to hate what is evil is the fear of the Lord, you know, but it's evil to just hate someone because of what they believe. You know what I mean? And it's just, the Lord just really worked that in my heart. And so Dutch Sheets was just like, you know what, the enemy, he hates that this is not just a political rally. Because there was politics, and it was about the truth and about what's going on in our nation. And the pathway to freedom for hearts in the nation, and reconciliation and forgiveness for God. You know, it wasn't about pro this or anti that. You know, even though that there were elements of that involved, it wasn't about that. There's a difference, you know.
And I thought it was interesting too, because one of the things that was said was just, it might have actually been Dutch Sheets who said it as well. I forget who said what, because they're, you know, going back
Hank
and forth.
And Mario, they were just ministering the prophet stream. You know what I'm saying?
And but he was talking about there needs to be a marriage between
that was Dutch.
The governmental and the church, like the spiritual, and of course
the kingly and the priestly.
It's the priest and the king, and it's. But I don't know when you got that picture. It was a while back. It might have been last year. But throughout our journey, God has really shown us these. As we've continued to grow, God shows us more. And I think many of us, you see that, you know, every day. You see, oh, God adds. He's always adding
to your life.
And giving more clarity, giving more understanding, you know, because we can't swallow everything all at once. You know, it's like in everything, you have to take little bits to grow, and God continues to build off of that. But he's shown us, he's like, okay, there is a priestly training time that you've been in, but there is going to be a kingly training time that you're going to be in. And then there's more to after even that. But for us, though, in between the priestly and the kingly training times, God showed us a picture of marriage, and like us as a bride marrying Jesus, the Prince of Peace. And it's like, and so there is the marriage, and he of course represents the kingly, and well, he's all of it.
He's the
priestly and the kingly. But it was just like this picture of like, you're going to go from the priestly, which has been our entire time so far in Nashville, where God's like, you're here for me, God first. Like, you're building an altar, you're laying down your life, you're sacrificing, you're you're being exposed, you're allowing me to work in your hearts. But then you're going to have a marriage celebration time, and that will usher you into a time where you are literally basically serving as priests in my house because you've been trained. But then I'm also going to be training you in the kingly. And the kingly represents that governmental authority. It's the authority of heaven working on earth. And so it's like, I just really loved that, because I'm like, yes, that's exactly what God's going to be doing. He is going to be marrying the two, the priestly and the kingly, here on earth. And
then you're going to produce disciples who actually know the Lord.
Yeah.
True spiritual children of the Lord.
Yeah.
You know?
And then, of course, mixed in all of that, there is the prophetic word of God, which has been leading the way through the training of both the priestly and the kingly, and will continue on. But I just thought it was really awesome, because I'm like, look at this. Here we have this marriage. And then, of course, again, the Lord's like, here, marry me. Like this is what I'm doing right now. This is where my heart is at. I am here to just usher us into the new, usher us beyond the wilderness, and carry us into the promises.
Yeah, and it really was kind of like a part of the roller coaster. It was an unplanned, unexpected twist and turn. Like, whoa, you know what I'm saying? It's like, you know, I mean, it was literally basically all we had time for. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so we literally drove down there on Friday. We stayed Saturday, and we ended up just kind of...
And then we left on Sunday morning.
And we left this morning.
This morning, literally.
Literally this morning. Luckily, the traffic was nothing. It was like, this was the road trip that I was expecting on the way there. And of course, I guess you should have probably realized, like, oh, it's Friday and it's a holiday weekend, so there's probably like a bazillion people out here. But
and we are part of the bazillion.
Yeah, we weren't really thinking about that. But the way back home was way better. Although we had some crazy rain on the road.
So that just happened today.
Yeah, that happened today, and so we got back early afternoon, like in the afternoon.
But we really had a good time yesterday.
Yeah,
it was really cool. We needed it. It was part of the whole thing, and that really ended our scene 12.
It did.
Just so much fun with the family. So much just hanging out. We were just hanging out. That's all we were doing. You know, we had pancakes twice. It was fun. It was so fun. And we're just like, it was just so fun. I was like, God, look at what you're doing.
Yeah.
I mean, this is literally happening. It's not about a prophetic word and everything that we've coming out of. I was just like, wow. I was like, is this that eagle part where I'm just like, wow, we're really just like, I don't know if it's really the fullness of it or not, but because we keep coming back to this place, and obviously we're still here. There's no manifestation of a home and all that stuff. It doesn't matter. You know, that's I believe that's to come. That's 100% to come. I mean, that's the bottom line. And so I think that, like with visions, there can be layers of experience. For example, we have our can I talk about the leaves? And so we have our leaf road trips. You know what I mean? And those are very specific road trips, right? But it's like the STEM road trip that we call it, where we went to Kansas City and we came back. It was like, that's actually touching Kansas City, which is part of one of our leaves. You know what I mean? And now the Lord's sending us to Atlanta for this conference, and that's touching another leaf. You know, I was like, wait, Atlanta, that's part of the red leaf. You know, roses, red leaf.
I know.
Anyway, and then it's like, and now here's the Lord's like, okay, you guys are kind of getting in the flow of things. The Lord's literally given us two places. We started with one place yesterday. I was like, oh my gosh, I think we're going to this place. You know what I'm saying? We're going to this next place, which is going to be touching another leaf. And then just tonight in our God time, the Lord, I thought that was going to be it. because it's like, oh, that was like what we did back in 2018. We came to Nashville. We came to Nashville, and and then we went to Atlanta, and then we went to Cincinnati, and that was like our little triangle. And then from that came a bigger triangle for our this honeymoon road trip thing that we were talking about. That's still a thing. But it's like, oh, okay, we're going to do that. But the Lord was like, oh, no, there's a fourth. Mm-hmm. And so I think it's interesting. So we have our STEM trip, but that's like, because it creates this flower. That's what we call the stem. And we have the leaves, and then you have the flower. So there's different levels. You see, there's different levels of what God's doing, because right now we're touching each leaf. We're not going on the full-blown trip, but we're touching each one. I had no idea where we were going, that we were going south there, but it was like the Lord's like, you're going south. And each one of them has to do with touching something old. And then something borrowed, and then something blue. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. No, but it has something to do with touching something old, like our old flowering pot. I caught it this time. Our old flowering pot that
we started growing.
in. And then we go to Atlanta. That's like an old thing too, because we went there almost. Right after we got here. We hadn't been here like 3 months.
No, it was in February. It was pretty much like probably 6 weeks after we had arrived here.
Yeah, it was crazy. And so now where we're going, that's another old stomping ground. Yeah. But then the next place we're going after that, which just came up tonight, is a really old stomping ground. I'm just like, oh my goodness. And I believe in each place, it's like I'm going to touch on the healing. Yeah. I'm touching on it. I'm not unfurling the leaf yet. Yeah. But I'm going to touch on it, because we're going to do this in layers and scales. Yeah. And I'm just like, wow. So. Yeah. So. And I just try. I mean, I don't know how many more. Listen, guys. It's like I don't know how many more. What are they called? Points. Reward points we have. But I'm like, you know what, Lord? I don't care. If this is what you're doing, then this is what you're doing, and this is where we're going. For me, I'm just like, I gotta do it. If it's the Lord's will, and this is like God's like, this is what I'm doing, will you cooperate and go with me? I have to. Yeah. If I lose every friend I've had, which I've done before, if I lose this and I lose that, which has happened before, it doesn't matter. God has more friends, and He has more this, and He has more that. So He's like, you know what I mean? And it's like, if you're with Him, He's like, have I not sent you? Yeah. And it's like, it's just crazy to see all this stuff is really actually happening in our lives, and it's just blowing our minds. Yeah. And so. Yeah. So that's.
It's gonna be. It is an adventure.
It's a to be continued, because sometimes you get to that point in the roller coaster where you can see some of the twists and turns and the loops and stuff you haven't even gone to yet, and you're going, oh my goodness. Yeah.
And that's kind of
like what we got.
Yeah, that's kind of where we're at. Right now, it's like okay, we don't know.
We're about to go to 2 more places,
and we don't know the win yet, and I think that's kind of the mystery of it all. But already this week, God's like, hey, we got some things that He wants us to do here, and it's like, all right,
here in Nashville,
we're gonna just follow your lead and go and just know that He is investing in our own hearts, and even the places, I think it's so important. I was telling the kids, I was like, I feel like it is very important for us in this time and season that we touch the places, and God is sending us for a reason, and we are planting, just us being there is planting seeds in these regions and these places.
And I tell you what, Michelle shared that tonight for God time, and it broke a performance thing in me that I didn't even know I was operating in, because I'm going to Atlanta, and I'm like, Lord, you're not speaking, and I'm just like, and of course He is, but it doesn't feel like the way I would like it to feel. And the Lord's like, you don't have to, you don't have to feel anything, I don't have to be constantly flooding you with revelation or visions and all that stuff. Sometimes it's good for you to just watch and listen and just know and go. You know, you don't have to. It doesn't have to be the way you think it has to be all the time. And it was just like, it was just enough for us to be there. And I was like, wow, that's really cool, because a lot of times I think I'm missing something, you know, and it's like, nope, you didn't miss anything, buddy. And so this is super cool. So like that's our act. And then what we're gonna do this week is gonna be like, it's in Nashville, but it's like, it's almost like it's part of the road trip.
It is.
You know, it's part of the roller coaster that we're on, and I'm like, wow. You know, it was really cool. I want to share something else really quick.
Yeah.
We visited with someone in Kansas City, super awesome lady, and she said she had a dream of being on a roller coaster as well, but it ended on this high rise, this like building, and I was just like, oh my gosh, that would be just the Lord to end it somewhere way higher, you know what I mean? Just ended on a high note, you know, and then we all got these like ice creams for like, because of our endurance and our patience and our waiting. It was just a reward. It was just this sweet reward for having gone through it. So I'm like, wow, Lord. So even this roller coaster is something you're sending us through, and it's something you want our cooperation with. And I tell you what, we've had to say, I feel like our whole life right now is the Yes Day movie. You know what I mean? The Lord's like, don't say no. It's like, well, Lord, I don't know about this because of that and because of this and because of that. And it's like, oh, I think we're going.
Yeah.
I think we're going. I've laid out all the problems. And he's like, okay, you done laying out the problems? Like, yeah, those are problems, right? He's like, come on, let's go. Yeah. And it's like, oh my gosh, you know?
Yeah. And that's definitely been something that God's been just reminding us of just like, hey, you might have your own like understanding of what you think things might be like, but say yes to my spirit, say yes to my heart, and we can just go with me.
Well, it was the 1, 2, 3 that the Lord gave us back in 2018. It was the hold fast, say yes, have fun. You know?
Yeah. So you hold fast to what God has spoken, you say yes to His Spirit, and then you just have fun.
And then you're just going to have fun,
Yep.
Hope you guys are loving these extremely long videos. They might get longer the more we do what God's doing.
Yeah, and so I know you speaking of that, is just you know, it really has been just this crazy ride. So I know that Devin, he's been wanting to get the Kansas City trip just highlight reel together, and now we have
even been here.
Now we have more highlights. So we will
It'll
see
come maybe at some point. I don't know. I don't know when it's going to come.
Happen, but for now,
you'll be led by the Spirit and everything.
You'll get the news report. It's just what the Lord is doing. But
I pray all the time. I'm just like, Lord, should we be releasing stuff during the week? That might be cool too. And you just got to be led by the Spirit. You know, you can think this and wonder this, and maybe the Lord's saying that, but ultimately it's His Spirit's leading that's going to answer the question.
Yep. And you just let Him roll out the dough. That's what had to happen this last week, and we had the ball of dough of like, okay, this is the idea, and then the Lord's like, okay, let's spread it out, let's roll it out, let's go through all of the things that need to happen.
Yeah, and I got my issues rolled out pretty quickly. I was like, I guess we can go. Why not? Do it.
So, but yeah, so I think that's really what we have to share with you guys this week. I do pray that you're blessed. I think we're ready to get some good sleep and rest tonight. And
you want to know something crazy though? 3 videos in a row of our restoration play videos were 1 hour and 4 minutes. And we're like, wow, Lord, what are you saying? The last one we did, even though it wasn't 1 hour and 4 minutes, when I dumped all the unedited footage onto the iMovie editor, it was literally exactly 1 hour and 4 minutes and 0 seconds. I was like, wow. So that's more harvest that we still have not get. That's in the barn. I'm like, what are you saying with that? But it was about the Lord. It was about Psalm 104.
And
about
declaring the Lord. Which is really cool, because actually something we haven't even been able to talk about is the continuing verses of 2 Chronicles 20:17.
Oh, it's totally happening.
very much so. So we might hopefully get to that part. Maybe we'll see what the Lord does, because there is definitely a lot to say about that as well. But
we'll see.
But anyway, we will let you guys go. We pray that you are blessed. And until next time, we will see you guys later.
Yep. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Love ya.